Long time no see. In the year 548, a forgotten showdown happened that proved that it was literally easier to get away with murder than to impose heavy taxes on the population. As mayor of the palace, Parthenius was in control of the Merovingian household. Unfortunately for everyone around him, he was very impulsive and could make cruel decisions out of strong, momentary feelings. When the king died, the upset Franks saw the opportunity to take revenge on this palace manager who had imposed an unpopular tax burden on them. The angry population was united in its hatred against him and started to pursue him relentlessly, while Parthenius took desperate measures to escape their revenge. Welcome to History Tower. This true case takes place in the year 548 in Austrasia, which was a part of the Frankish Empire, nowadays a region in Western Europe. A baby boy had been born around 50 or 60 years before in Arles and was named Parthenius. The sources about him are controversial and a little bit of a mess. For instance, his birthplace can't be confirmed as one historian didn't give his sources and could have just made it up, which is no new information for history fans, but nevertheless worth mentioning as the story continues. His origins and family connections are disputed and an absolute mess to research. Bless this mess, but we don't need it to follow his story. The only point on which all historians agree is that Parthenius belonged to the aristocracy. Therefore, he had wealth and power that the rest of the population could only dream of. Parthenius especially enjoyed to eat, having been called a glutton by the chronicler Gregory of Tours. He was even taking aloes to quicken his digestion in order to continue eating, but perhaps that was just a custom during that era, or a mean rumor. Nevertheless, he found a woman by the name of Papianilla to marry and had a friend by the name of Ausenius. No one knows how much time had passed after the wedding until Parthenius got suspicious of his wife Papianilla and his friend Ausenius. Allegedly, he was in a fit of rage, fueled by his impulsivity and jealousy, when he slaughtered both of them. Years later, when Parthenius himself was threatened with death, he is said to have suffered nightmares about his victims. We will come back to that in a moment. It's typical for these patriarchal societies with Christian values that men like Parthenius got away with murdering their wives and alleged lovers out of impulsivity, jealousy, or just to get rid of them without suffering any consequences. For instance, during the Borgia rule in Italy, a man beat his wife to death after allegedly finding a lover in her bedroom in Rome. He was only forced to pay a fine to the Christian church and continued his life like nothing had happened. Nowadays, the executions of girls and women based on patriarchal ideologies are called femicides. In Austria, the country where I produce videos for History Tower, femicides are common, but they don't happen every day, just occasionally. Austria is the only country in Europe where more female human beings get murdered than male human beings. In the other countries, the statistics say that it's about 50-50. One of the most horrible cases in recent years happened in March of 2021, when a psychopathic 47-year-old ex followed his 35-year-old ex to her own kiosk store, beat her, strangled her, poured gasoline over her and set her on fire. The incident was caught on her own store camera and used at her murder trial. Her crazy ex was later diagnosed with narcissistic personality disorder. I've never forgotten this story and other stories about femicides all over the world, which are often just torture executions. So Parthenius suffered no punishment for the murder of his wife Papianilla and his friend Ausenius. On the contrary, he fulfilled his duties as a mayor of the palace, which was a powerful and prestigious position. As the supervisor of the household of the palace, he had authority over the court personnel, protected certain people, advised the king on the appointment of counts and dukes, and in the case of Parthenius was even able to intervene for a tax reform. Whatever his motives were, the Franks had started to hate him. When King Theudebert died, the Franks saw this as their opportunity to get rid of Parthenius and take revenge on him. Finally, they could act out their anger and they went after him. Parthenius besought 2 bishops to help him flee to Treves, a city that nowadays lies in the territory of Germany close to Luxembourg. It happened on one of those nights during his escape journey that he had nightmares about the murder of his wife and friend, so that he was either screaming in his sleep or he woke up screaming, asking for help as he thought he was dying, because Papianilla and Ausenius were summoning him to judgment to plead his case for the crime against them. It can't be confirmed whether Parthenius really suffered from a bad conscience, and if the story even happened like that, but perhaps it shows that his impulsive cruelty caught up with him when he was facing threats of death himself. Afterwards, he finally reached the city Treves, where his companions, the 2 bishops, hid him in a chest in the church and lay ecclesiastical vestments over him. They couldn't hold back the angry uproar anymore, and the people rushed in to catch Parthenius, who lay quietly in the chest. The people searched everywhere but couldn't find him. One man watched the scene carefully and suddenly asked the others to look at a certain chest and to search it for their enemy. The 2 bishops stated that it only contained church ornaments, but the people demanded them to open the large chest, otherwise they would break in. They got the key, unlocked the chest and only found ecclesiastical vestments in it. After throwing out several linen cloths, they found Parthenius hiding in the chest. He was dragged out while the crowd cheered that God had delivered their enemy into their hands. Parthenius must have been scared to death, as they even started to punch him with their fists, spit at him, and bind his hands behind his back. But the worst was yet to come. His captors bound him to a column. Parthenius would have heard their screams and cheers and would have seen what they held in their hands. His heart must have been racing. The crowd started to throw large stones at him. Parthenius was stoned on the column. Instead of the city of Treves becoming his refuge, it became his grave in 548. And this is the end of the story of Parthenius. Nothing more and nothing less.